Hello, today I'm going to be exploring the one who shall grip Sinclair because he is one of my favorite identities in the entire game and also because I was requested to do this one. So yeah. So the one who shall grip Sinclair is the game's very first minus coin identity, meaning that he gets his high power and stats when he rolls tails. However, he becomes weaker if he rolls heads. So for him, he would have to maintain a low sanity, which can be an issue that will be explained later. So the one who shall grip Sinclair's very first skill is just a basic generic skill 1 that inflicts 3 burn on hit. However, if he were to roll a tails, he will gain the status Fanatic, which would increase his final power per stack of Fanatic onto any target that has nails. So this Sinclair's second skill is actually a pretty good looking one. It inflicts a pretty hefty amount of burn and even some burn count. It can also even inflict bleed, and he will also gain extra damage with it if he currently had the status Fanatic, as previously mentioned in the last skill. So this Sinclair's skill 3 is actually a really beefy one, having a really high skill power. However, it can go into the 0 skill power if he rolls all heads. It does really nice damage. It inflicts extra burn, and if the target has bleed, if he kills someone with it, he'll gain blunt power up next turn. He will raise the stagger threshold of an enemy by 50% of this damage dealt, and it will deal more damage if it was Fanatic and if the target is a mechanical amalgam. So this Sinclair's defense stat is just a pretty generic one. However, at the beginning of the combat, it will heal 5 to 10 sanity for him, which is extremely important, and I will explain that here in the passives list here in the next section. So this identity only has 2 passives. Its first one makes him heal less SP from winning a clash or defeating an enemy, and if 5 or more of the surviving units are the Enk or Fanatics, they will deal extra damage. And then his other passive is the enemy, one ally with the lowest SP will deal extra blunt damage. And if their SP is lower than 0, then it will further boost that damage when the lower the SP is. And the reason why you want, for the first passive, the reason why you want him to have less SP is due to the fact that, of course, since he's a minus coin user, he gains his attacks on tails. Now, the big downside I've been mentioning about is that, unlike other identities like the In the Name of Love and Hate Don Quixote, he doesn't have an SP gate, meaning that his skills making him lose SP can cause him to go to -4 to 5, causing him to either panic or corrode. And if he were to corrode with Eagles on, he would essentially could have the potential of wiping your team, which in fact has lost me to lose the Canto 9 boss fight on my second attempt at trying to beat it. So yeah. So, from what I have seen online and from personal use, this identity is an extremely good one with really high damage and is really nice. The big downside to him, of course, is the fact that he could end up team wiping you. And of course, you could circumvent that by using his defense to keep his sanity a bit up, or you can always not have any egos on, but then you would lose their versatility because a lot of egos provide major versatility. It could change certain aspects, heal, nuke, a bunch of stuff, and if he weren't to be able to have any of his egos, that would cause his usability to be down. So essentially you want to kind of just try to have him attack a couple turns, then use his defense to get his sanity back up a bit, and just alternate back and forth to try and make sure he does not hit that threshold. But personally, I like him, one of my favorite identities, and I believe you should use him, especially the fact that he's a Season 1 unit, and if you played during a certain period of time, you could have gotten a free Season 1 identity from a 3-star ticket. So yeah, personally, you should get him. He's pretty nice.